Hello everyone, welcome back to Sky Academy College Counseling 101. My name is Mustafa, and today we have a new topic to tackle with you guys. Today we'll be talking about how to write a college essay that actually sounds like you. This is a topic that's very important specifically for seniors. So you might be a freshman, sophomore, or junior, and you might not be as interested or worried about it. However, it's very important to still listen and be aware of some of the tips that are very important when we're thinking about writing the college essay for our colleges in the future. So today we're going to talk about the part that freaks out the people a lot, which is, as I said, the essay. When the essay topic comes up, a lot of the times people feel very stressed, worried, not knowing what they're going to write about, what they're going to talk about. And sometimes, with the rise of AI, people tend to rely on that a lot, and that can have a lot of ramifications. So that's something that we have to be very cautious and aware of as well. And we want you guys to be able to write a good essay where you feel confident that you did well and that colleges will appreciate. So we're going to try to find your story, write it in your voice, right? Avoid the big mistakes that sometimes people make when they're trying to write essays, and also go over some of the Common App prompts, right? And what they mean and how you can tackle those questions. So first off, the essay is really for you, okay? Let's not mistake a Common App personal essay with an English essay. What does this mean? You are not writing an essay for your assignments. You're not going to write it in the same format that you would be writing it for an assignment. You are writing this essay for yourself. And what matters is, who are you and what do you care about, right? An essay is very critical because it's a platform or way for you to do something where it's not already in your resume. So you haven't, put this on your resume, nor have you talked about this somewhere else in your application. The only way that they're going to be able to know about this information is by reading your personal essay. And that's why we want to be able to understand that it has to feel human, it has to feel strong, it has to be very powerful, and we want you guys to be able to achieve that. So let's talk about some of the prompts and the 7 prompts that exist on Common App, right? And how, if you were to choose which prompt you're choosing, and how you can tackle that. So the first prompt is about meaningful background or identity. So you share a story that's central to who you are, okay? And that's one of the most famous ones that people use. And in this one, you're going to talk about, your backstory. This could be about your upbringing, a challenge that you might have went through, what that means for you, what that signifies. So you want to be able to come up with a meaningful backstory that you might have, and you could choose to answer that question. A second one is obstacles or challenges. So a time you faced difficulty and what you learned from that, right? So we all have difficulties in our lives. For instance, you might have had a mental breakdown, or you might have had something physically that happened to you, or you might have had ups and downs academically, socially, with friends, possibly, whatever that case may be, and you think that obstacle eventually led to your upbringing and who you are today, and you really want to touch upon this, and you think that colleges will not know you fully without reading that essay, then you could try to choose that prompt. The third prompt is belief or idea questions. So if you ever had, did you ever have a question that might have been like a belief that might have been questioned by someone? So if that's the case, or if you ever questioned an idea or a belief, then you could talk about that as well. This could be philosophical, this could be personal, right? Most of the time, students that choose this prompt can come across an idea that their parents and their ideas didn't align with them. For instance, recently I remember reading an essay where someone mentioned about their desires to play a certain instrument, and their parents were more keen on them not focusing on an instrument and doing maybe academics and focusing on their grades, and trying to contradict that idea with their parents and force the notion that I do want to play an instrument, and what that meant to them, and possibly continuing to play that instrument in college was very significant for them, and they chose to write about how they challenged that idea. So that could be another prompt. The fourth one, gratitude and inspiration. So someone who influenced you and how they influenced you. So again, this could be a mentor, this could be your parents, this could be a friend, this could be someone you saw online, right? When you find about this person and you think that they had a huge impact in your life, and your essay will not be fulfilled without talking about this, or the colleges will not know fully who you are, then you could touch upon this. Achievement or realization. So a moment of growth or accomplishment, a moment where you achieved a goal or task that you had that was very significant for you. That's another prompt that you could touch upon. Or finally, you could talk about a topic of your own choice. So what does this mean? A choice where it could be a combination of all of these, or it could be something very unique out of the blue. The reason why Common App gives you this freedom is you don't want to feel like you have to stick to one of these prompts. These prompts just make life easier for you. And if you feel like you fit into one of these prompts, then you can use it. If you feel like you don't, then we encourage you to come up with an idea that you have that's very unique to yourself and brainstorm this with people. The one thing that I realize a lot of students come across when they're trying to write their personal essay is that the first part is you jotting down your ideas and thoughts onto a paper and coming up with possibly multiple topics. Sometimes either a student doesn't have a topic idea or they have a lot and they don't know how to articulate it. At first, they want to, write a perfect essay. They want it to be flawless. But I always try to encourage people and tell them that, look, you want to sit down, you want to start writing some stuff down, you want to put some bullet points, write the important topics and themes that you want to touch upon, and how can we then have that essay, restructured into a more proper format. You'll have it be read by your English teacher, you can have it be read by your counselor. As I said, if you are a senior, it's very critical to, emphasize these more. But even if you're younger, and especially in your junior year, you're going to be tackling these practices, especially with your English class teachers most of the time. So you want to be able to start the process early and then have it be read by people consistently so those people can give you insights and fix corrections, possibly lead the essay to a different path. So that's very important. So finding your story doesn't have to be dramatic, like seriously. Your story can be something very simple and unique, and that can still have a huge significance in your essay as well. A lot of the times people think that they want to do something out of the ordinary, right? They want to talk about being an immigrant person themselves, maybe talk about the tragic stories that they went through and try to encompass their whole lifestyle. You don't really have to do that. You can stick to a certain topic, right? That means very much to you. This could be a hobby, this could be an interest, and you could stick to a time span that doesn't have to expand the whole of your life. It could be just your high school years, it could just be a certain moment, a day, a week, right? As long as you're capable of explaining yourself very well. So that's the significance here. And as I said, an essay goes a long way. Sometimes your application is very similar to other people academically, but your essay could put you ahead of the game. So let's try to, find your story. You could write about your grandma's cooking, your part-time job if you have that, if that means something for you. You could talk about, moving to a new school and what that meant to you, playing a certain sport, having a certain interest or hobby, loving a certain movie and what that meant to you. So these type of things are very important. When you are choosing what matters for you, it's also important to consider what you're majoring in and if the essay should be connected to that. I get this question asked a lot. I want to major in, let's say, the field of science, right? Or be in the pre-med program. Should I write about something related to that? My answer is depends, right? If you have a very strong case where you are someone that did a lot of events in the field of medical stuff, where you went to internships, right? Your classes indicate that as well, and you have a recommendation letter from someone like that, then I do recommend that you sit down and you try to write an essay based on that topic, because universities will appreciate that, especially if you're applying to that program. However, if you don't have a strong case on that matter and you don't feel like your background, your resume, and accomplishments don't really showcase that you're eager in that major, then you don't really have to stick to that major. So that's a choice you're going to be making. Obviously, talk with your counselor, talk with your mentors, make a decision together. Those things really matter, but at the end, you will come to that decision, and that's very important. So now let's talk about some common mistakes that we want to avoid. Number one, trying to impress, okay? A lot of the times we try to use big words and try to, make ourselves look very articulate and crazy with how we're emphasizing our words. However, you don't want to do that. You want to write like you talk and how you are, okay? That's what's significant. Colleges know who you are. You are if you're a senior, you're a 17-year-old student that's going to apply to college. And when you're writing your story, you don't want to make it seem like it's excessive and it's either AI generated, right? Or you're using words to just impress, but you're not really telling your story. So let's try to avoid that. Repeating resume. As I mentioned, you don't want to put anything there that you've already mentioned in your resume in the Common App section. So if you talked a little bit about a certain club and activity and, described it pretty well, and if you don't want to reemphasize the same things, you can still touch upon that topic, but reemphasizing what it matters and how you experienced it in a different way can happen, but we do recommend you find something else that's very unique to you. Trauma dumping without reflection. So you don't want to do that as well. You don't want to dump your trauma into the situation without really reflecting what that means. A lot of the times I read essays and people talk about the things that they went through, and they instantly try to put on the reflection right away towards the end of the paragraph, but they don't showcase it. Like, rather they just tell it, right? We need you guys to showcase the reflection that you had and the growth that you have. So that's very important as well. And letting someone else write it, I had this, okay? Some students have come to me and asked me to write their essay for them. That's not ethical, or is it right? So don't do that as well. Write your own essays. The more you practice, the more better you're going to get. So please work on that. And those are the common mistakes that you should, stay away from. So the structure and how you would want to write your essay, I would say first you start with the moment, right? You talk about something that's interesting to you. That could be, as I said, a sound, a smell, an action, or memory, whatever that case may be. So you start with a moment. Then you reflect on that moment and what it means, right? And how it reflected upon you. And then finally, you touch upon the growth. So, and you want to show progress as well. I recommend people to connect it towards your other journey, meaning your college years and what you plan on doing in college, or how it will reflect upon you as a person that you plan on becoming within that field, right? Either that be an experience or that be a passion that you have. Let's say you want to do engineering and you want to, continue these passions that you have within yourself to the college and bring change within the environment that you're in and build the environment, the educational environment in the school that you want to go to. So talk about growth as well, not just in the context of present, but future as well. So that's very important. And all in all, that's the things that I want to touch upon. As I said, the essay is very important and something to be thought about. If you are a freshman, sophomore, you might not really care, but I would listen to these comments and take notes, right? And try to read a lot of books, okay? People that do read a lot of books tend to write essays better because their vocabulary arsenal is stronger and they tend to be more critical thinkers. So you want to be able to read a lot, and while you're reading, be able to, practice on your writing skills, go your English classes, get help. And as a junior, you will start writing your personal essay and being aware of where you start. And one final thing I want to mention, do not feel that you have to write the perfect essay right away. Your essay might not be perfect at first. That is totally fine. It's a work on progress. It could look very weird when you first start it, and it could change a lot afterwards. So many revisions are going to be made. So many people are going to read it, give you comments. So definitely don't worry about that. Just get started, and hopefully you'll write an essay that's really meaningful to you, that you really appreciate, that colleges will appreciate, and then eventually get into the college that you want to. I thank you all for being here today, and I'll see you guys next time at Sky Academy College Counseling.